we appreciate everyone's
Well,
well
quite.
wishes and like you all, we understand the concern, but like it's, he may have said that he was ill, but the rest of it. that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, everybody ready? Happy New Year officially.
Happy New Year to you.
Right, let's get on the agenda then. Item one is the budget, right?
Councillor
Oh, we've got-
Ford, Councillor Reid.
Paul, Reid,
Councillor Watson and Elaine, the deputy town clerk.
Davy, Susan Davy.
all those. Right, item two, disclosure of interest, grant dispensations.
There's not,
Nothing. All right. Right, item three is just to approve the minutes of the previous governance committee meetings held on the 12th of November and the 10th of December. And I read these, I thought, I don't know why, it's just to approve the minutes, doesn't it? You're happy with those then?
Yeah.
Let's get on. No actions arising.
Actually, if I just ask, following those meetings, that we were accepted into the local government pension scheme as of the 1st of January.
Right, you don't. Great, look forward to a wonderful retirement. Yeah, stay there, Bill.
Page 103.
Anybody else done that biscuit? I'm way trying busy.
No, just saying.
Thank you. There we go.
Oh, that was meant.
Was nice to you. No, thank you.
Right, item five is the budget monitoring report. Attached. Any got any questions on that? Near the end of the year, gradually. No questions on that, no unusual items, I think. You with that? Yeah.
Sorry. The only that I was just wondering about is the number 312, which is for publicity including the new salaries. It says minus 2,000. Is that just something that we put something additional out or that we weren't expecting?
We just overspent, well, it cost more than this for the booklet.
Yes, it's just publication delivery costs.
I always like spending money on publicity for the town council, so I honestly don't mind it, but I wondered what.
Yeah, what we did was when we got the bill in, we adjusted the government's budget for next year,
Yeah.
accommodate this.
Thank you.
Right then. Move on to item number 6 then, the decision report for the financial software. Any comments on that one?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
And since this council came into existence in 2009, the council were provided with a very good Excel financial system.
An excellent one.
An excellent one, yes, Chair, I did say that, yes, an excellent system. And it is an excellent system. However, it's complex to maintain. And it certainly requires a little bit more basic knowledge in Excel that the majority of people have had. Since then, I mean, it's been used very well, but in recent years, the HMRC have introduced more controls for larger councils, of which we are one of them. And they no longer allow VAT claims to be made to the HMRC from councils that use systems such as Excel. You've got to use a more bespoke package. What we've done in the interim, we've used a product which is through a bank, and it's got a cost of £330 per annum, but the government allow us to input to their system our claim from that. But what it does mean is we've got to input all of our financial data twice. Once in Excel that will produce the accounts on, and once in this free agent that the government allows us to use. Similarly, to pay an invoice, we've got to input the data into the bank. Now, the report that we've written today outlines the pitfalls of the existing processes, the three processes that we've got, the bank, the VAT system and the Excel cash book. And it really tries to give the advantage of a bespoke system whereby you would input the data once. Any changes, legislative changes would be done by the software providers in their accepted systems by HMRC, everybody like that. It links to other systems that you have in place for the collection of allotments and so on. And the ones that we've had a quick look at, two of them in particular are used very locally. And what we'd like to do is, with your approval, is just get your agreement that we can further look at these systems and choose one of them that we can bring in for the 1st of April 25, which will save an awful lot of duplication. And in particular, it will allow a transfer from the financial system into the banking system. So it means that it'll just produce a file, so we can just hit a button and it'll pay that as well. So it'll bring a lot of benefits to the office, and it'll give us, it'll be easier to produce other reports and ad hoc things. And it will also allow, if you wish, viewing option for, you know, the likes of chair of governance or any other chair to have a look at their committee and pull off different reports that you wish to have.
Any particular questions on that? I mean, really just saying, yes, go ahead, look at these two companies a bit further. Once you're happy with everyone you want, go ahead and buy it and implement it ready for the 1st of April. That,
Move the recommendation from the clerk, Chair.
right,
For the minutes.
you're happy with that then?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
All right, the next item is the budget. You take us through that as well? Main items.
Well, you're seeing the governance budget proposals. This is the first time we've seen the proposals for the governance budget for 25/6. We've also got in there the budget proposals which have been agreed from the individual committees, community development and environment, for the governance committee to approve. The governance committee budget's been based on the changes that you've seen during 24/25 with regard to staffing, moving the events coordinator into the governance committee, the different pension options that we've got, as well as the inflation and so on. What overall, there is a shortfall in the probable figure of about 100,000. The majority of this has been the Environment Committee of nearly 70,000, but a further 22,000 have risen because of probable figures, less expenditure based mainly on staffing within the governance area. So that's that. Bring it all together. It does allow officers to look at the council tax in a different way for next year, because we've got this reduced expenditure on the probable side. And also the number of what you call Band D properties in the town is increased to such a degree that applying the existing council tax to those increased properties generates an extra 40,000. So it's based on those two things and the fact that the national, climate, financial climate is a lot better than it has been. And it allows for the recommendation that looking at the long term over the next 6 years, I think next year we can recommend a 0 increase in the council tax. And it still keeps us in a healthy position going forward for the rest of this decade.
Okay, so first of all, has anybody got any comments on the governance committee budgets, the proposals for next year? It's been increased by inflation, where we know so specific figures that involve them.
Yeah,
Warren, yeah.
You may not be able to answer this, but can you give us any update on the office manager
situation. I can, I'll prefer to do it
In part two?
in part two if you don't mind. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So any financial questions on the governance budget papers? And the budget overall, are we? You've got the figures there, the town clerks explains the spends in some areas, we are spending more, well, our staff now, we've got a full complement of 8 people we haven't had for a long time. Changes in the environment committee. Big item, I suppose, was the skate park as well, which had £200,000 in the budget, which we won't have next year. More than 6 million for that, so we've been able to just keep the council tax the same this year as it was. Any questions at all on that? Yeah, Grant?
I just thought, well, this isn't a question on the budget at all, it's just for clarification.
Yeah.
Do you think, obviously we can't do it this year because we've already produced these papers to be, but for next year, if we happen to still be here as council next year, could we have it in part two, a more detailed explanation of the actual reserves, the recommended reserves and the earmark reserves? But even if only in separate colours, it would help immensely.
Yeah.
Can we a brief comment now?
I can give you a brief comment. I mean,
Because you're always going to produce a 5 or 6 year plan.
yeah,
And it's just to explain them better for plonkers like me. Yeah. And it's what you see your plans actually seeing.
well, I mean, the projected reserves for 31st of March, based on what we think we're going to spend for the remaining 3 years, is just over £1 million there, which
Yeah, it actually gives that figure. It was the long term.
Yeah.
With all that.
oh, sorry, right. Yeah, but what I would just like to say is that because we don't insure as a council, apart from the public liability, employer's liability, which we've got to kind of get away from, we don't insure any assets. So we do have a self-insurance pot for that. And of course, we've got to stay in line with the government's recommendation of upholding a balance for this size council of £400,000 at the moment. So you can immediately, whatever the reserve figure is of just over £1 million, you can immediately earmark 750,000 of it for particular purposes I've just mentioned. So really our available reserves going into next year, that would play with that 250. Whereas Councillor Davies said, when you look at it over the next 6 years, we will present it differently for the next governance committee. But when you look at the graph over the next 6 years, really you've got to look at the smallest gap between the reserves that you've got and what your earmarked reserves have got to be. And we're only left with about £90,000 in reality of reserves that we can consider using at this point in time.
Yeah. So when you think we're budget's £1.5 million, if someone crops up for £200,000, anything serious, doesn't leave you much left in balances really. Any other questions on the budget?
I just feel as if I should say something about reserves because Jeff isn't here, so I've got no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, my balance is, it's always one of those things, it's, there isn't like a set figure that you have to have, a percentage as such, but the government recommends sort of about £400,000 that you just have as an emergency. I mean, that would only keep you going for a few months. Yeah, Brian?
Mayoral expenses
Yeah.
was £1,550. Why, it's going up to 2,000?
Yeah.
Why?
We've never put it up, we've never put it up,
Been there for about 5 or 6 years, it's never been lifted for inflation. And in talking to the current and the previous mayor, some of the lot of functions, there are a lot of functions that the mayor, deputy mayor attends. And it all adds up, the clothing, the cleaning, the transport. And of course, once you go there, you've often got the mayor's got in front of people their own, meal or any expenses, and we feel that there's a much more appropriate figure, and it's certainly a lot lower at the moment and a lot of neighbouring, places.
Yeah.
We are smaller than different places and other places.
We are a smaller council, but,
Like,
You know-
I mean, we've said that in the past. Haven't we?
Sorry?
We've said that about other things in the past, haven't we? We are smaller, you know, things we do contribute towards a smaller budget.
well, we've got a smaller budget than the likes of, the county council in North Tyneside and some of the other places, but I think in terms of, when we see the invites coming in from various, councillors and Warren, who's got a lot more recent experience than others in this room, the same invite comes to the Mayor of Blythe than it does the Mayor of, Norma Redfern at North Tyneside, or, a representative from the county or a representative from Sunderland. So we get invited to as many, whether they're church or council dues or citizens advice or anything like that, then
Is it available to other councillors, the breakdown of what expenses have been, what the expense have been used by the mayor? Or was that confidential?
we don't have that. It's an allowance that we give out. As a
Is that the right
council,
word allowance now?
well, there are different definitions, but it's
I mean,
basically
is
an allowance.
sorry, was it expenses or was it allowance? That's what I'm trying to get at, sorry.
Bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more of an allowance that we give out.
Okay, so can we, and I'm not trying to be over, could we reword that?
It's,
Because it's down as mayoral expenses, but, we're saying that it's now it's allowance.
yeah.
But
So, on the spreadsheet itself, it's just an abbreviation, really.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah,
it's not
well,
covered.
it can be
Yeah,
read.
expenses and allowances expenses isn't abbreviation, but allowance is
Yeah.
expenses is expense.
Yeah, we just discussed that last meeting, didn't we?
Yeah,
Difference between the two, we have to change that.
yeah, I won't change that.
Just because if outside here, somebody sees that, they'll question it, because there's plenty of people who will, I know they will.
Any other questions on the finances?
Can I
Warren?
just ask one on the environmental enforcement officer, 772?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why the estimate is over the budget and that. Was likely to be over budget. I don't think that's the case on any other.
Sorry, which one? 772?
772.
772,
Very good one.
maybe 49,000
Environment officer.
That's the estimate for next year.
next year, so.
Yeah, so what we've done is, we haven't got any cost in from the county council yet, so I've just applied, I think it was 3% on that warrant to cover it.
So the probable for this year is on budget.
Yeah.
Thank you. The other thing was, sorry, neighbourhood planning.
Yeah.
903. Can you just explain the -6 and the actual and the remaining?
Last year's money, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've got the town council put a budget in of £2,000,
Yeah,
and we've received a grant.
10,000.
Yeah. Can't remember exactly when, but,
Is there any way that could be shown on these budget printouts so that we can see it? Or not?
I mean, what we've done in this particular case, we've just netted it off, because at the end of the day, it'll just, the grant that we're getting pays for the consultant. So it'll just, net off, but,
There's only just trying to fit the columns in, isn't it?
yeah, it's just
more
more
columns you have,
complicated
it's
to get
more
how much
packets.
information
Yeah.
we do,
Right.
on budget and putting codes in. I think it depends on which, if you've got an income generating code, you generally have an expenditure and an income budget then, which then nets off, but this is just generally an expenditure budget, so just treat it as the one line, but we'll try and give you more information on how much grant we've received. We'll circulate that in an email if you want.
I'm just all for making it a little bit more simpler to understand and see where,
All right.
it's the same with 106 monies.
Yeah.
I never quite see where they are.
I think when we first did these sheets, it was just expenditure. Our only income was a precept, one line.
Yeah.
That's the total income.
Yeah,
It's only in recent years we've had 106 money and various grants, stall money and a lot of rent, I suppose, of that, but the income was just one line originally. What do we get from county? But we're under the new system, we'll see,
Yeah.
I don't know if you be able to design your own reports kind of thing, but, yeah.
okay.
Caitlin's, yeah.
It was on the same, put like following up on more on there because obviously you just mentioned section 106, but it's the same with like county councillors supporting from their MLIS budget when it's not 100% clear. And obviously if this is just Excel, even if it's not on these sheets, but if it was on a separate like column, if we were able to have like a view only or something of the digital where you can see extra columns that aren't printed out, or when, you know, on the first one of the governance at the bottom, it says like, it's got a little star and it says this money is held for BVTFY rather than, like, there could be something that just says it, but if we are changing to a new system, hopefully it might be able to be a little bit more, detailed as we're getting bigger and we've got more events, we've got more staff and we've got, you know, we're always adding to what we're doing, which is great, but as the years go on, sometimes we kind of forget what has been agreed or where certain things have come from. Yes.
Just on the county council's money, basically that's just, we get money from county, so it's got to go into a pot somewhere and it should all come back out again. So that should always be zero, that one.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
should, obviously, like, and we've said that before when I've questioned why, it's on here as like 898, it says county councillors MLIS projects.
Yeah.
And it's always zero, when we know that money's come in.
Yeah.
But if you look at that, you would think that you haven't received anything from county councillors, because like you say, it comes in, it goes straight out. But in theory, that's the same for the neighbourhood planning, like you got a grant and it went straight out for paying for the consultant. Usually for the section 106 money, we get it in specifically for a project, it doesn't necessarily sit with us. But we know that a number of councillors have provided towards certain projects, and that should be detailed somewhere in there, even if it balances out, it should be in there if it's a correct account.
Isn't that in the county expenditure though? Because this is just money coming in and going straight back out again, isn't it? It's being spent on an expenditure, you know, play area or seats or whatever.
Yeah, and like, that's obviously, when we've said it before, you've said it's been part of that particular thing, so if it was for a play area, the money is in that budget rather than in a specific something else budget, but it's just felt like, following on from what Warren's saying, if we can have some things that just detail X amount of money was from county council rather than from the town council budget, it just is a little bit more like obvious and is a little bit more transparent, I guess.
I'm not quite sure you'll do that, was it grant from coming?
Yeah. Obviously, when I was doing a bit more with the county council, I was around quite a lot of parish council as an invited guest. These simply have a star and a reference to the MSS budget in the county council budget. So that's how most councils do it. So they have a star, it says, please see MSS budget in the Thumberland County Council's budget book for year, whatever the year is. And then when you go to membership small schemes page, and it's about the page, it's about 4 pages, and it's called a page. And you can see where it's all gone to different parishes and different, you know, schemes, parks, fences and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how you'd actually do that, because because if you're saying, well, county's giving some money for some seats, that would have to go in the seats bit. If it was for a play area, it would go into a different area, whereas at the minute it's all lumped together as one county scheme, you know. We can have a look, I'll see if they get any clearer, but it might just be, it has to be a note,
Yeah.
for a
That's
written note
what-
again,
yeah,
to
that's
say
what-
what's coming, what's going out, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Brian, did you want to come back? No.
Oh, it was just it was just a question. It might be
Yeah.
covered in another one. Where is it? 4-2.
42.
Or was it 402?
Training,
Yeah,
training one, yeah.
Councillor's training.
yeah. It's jumped, I mean, yeah, it's jumped up to 250. But what training is available?
But to buy the whip and the chain,
Well, it's for, particularly for new councillors. So this year we'll have a lot of new councillors
Yeah.
coming in. We might want to go on courses for chairmanship or just general knowledge about parish councils. So like Malk and SLCC run lots of courses.
I didn't know there was any.
Yeah, I mean,
It's, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I
There's one
suppose
come out today, actually,
there are, when we circulate the emails that we get from the likes of now, it might tell you that there's an online course on planning on, or
finance,
section 106 on basic finance of a council. And generally they might ask for a charge of £5 or £10. I generally by Zoom or Teams. Years ago, I think you went Warren on some, didn't you?
There's one just come out the day.
Yeah.
I've got word on it.
So they are available, they've been available, throughout the year, in the years of this council. It's, I mean, very few people take them up, so they are available.
So it's just with anticipation as new councillors come in, who may want to go on courses for introduction to parish council and chairmanship and things. Right, any other questions on any items there? No. Okay, well, can we just move the recommendation?
Chair?
Right, so this will go to full council on Thursday. No changes to the reports, should be as written. We'll go through it all again on Thursday.
About the minutes. Obviously, the minutes from tonight have got to be agreed on Thursday, first thing, or, as we get into council. So what I'll do with Fahim now is we'll do the minutes. And I've agreed with the chair, because normally when you do the minutes for a committee, you agree with the chair first, and then it gets circulated to members. Tonight's going to be a slight difference. We'll do the minutes and we'll circulate them to everybody at the same time. So, like I said, John's got any changes, you'll have to mention it first thing on Thursday when he introduces the report. But we'll get them out tonight, and then, hopefully in the next 15-20 minutes, so you're all geared up. But just in case you don't read them, we'll have printed copies of the minutes for you to be available on Thursday night.
So will be pretty much this report,
Yes.
people in it, okay. Right, well, there are no delegated actions, the next meeting, 24th of April. Can we just briefly go into part 2 then, on switch report now? If it's back in the issue, really.